صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة ويا عبرة كل مؤمن ومؤمنة يا ليتنا كنا معكم سيدي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وإذا حييتم بتحية فحيوا بأحسن منها أو ردوها إن الله كان على كل شيء حسيبا. صدق الله العلي العظيم. Let us illuminate our majlis with the recitation of a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. To hasten the reappearance of our 12th Imam, a second one in the loudest of your voices. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. One day, a man came from Sham towards Medina. He made this trip from Sham to Medina. At this time, the cities in Sham, the countries in Sham, which took basically a part of these countries of Sham, was more than just Syria that we know of now. Sham was Syria, it was Jordan, it was Palestine, and it was multiple countries in that area. And that entire area was under the control of Muawiyah. And Muawiyah, during this time, he was spreading constant propaganda against Imam Ali alayhi salam. And he made Imam Ali alayhi salam in those areas seem to be an enemy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, seem to be like someone who is not even a Muslim, who doesn't even pray. And he would constantly curse Amir al-Mu'mineen and the holy family of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And so this man, this is what he believed. He came to Medina with this assumption in his mind that the people of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, the family of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, they are enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he had this animosity towards them. He came into Medina and he saw Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. And he identified himself to this man. Imam identified himself to this man. What did the man begin doing? He began cursing Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. He began cursing him. He began calling him names. He began cursing Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam in front of his face, to his face. And how did Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam respond to this confrontation? Normally, when someone is confronted but directly by another individual, yelling at them, cursing at them, swearing at them, wanting to fight, what is the least that they're going to do? If they're not going to fight them physically, the least we would do in response is curse back at them and yell back at them, defend ourselves. What does Imam al-Hassan teach us? The correct way to approach the situation. How to approach the situation. Where do you see when someone is attacked and targeted with harassment, they respond with kindness and with gentleness. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he looks towards this man and he says, "It seems like you are a stranger. it seems like you are not from this city and you are a guest. So since you're a guest and a visitor, come be my guest. Let me host you. Let me welcome you into my home. Let me give you a place to stay for the night. Let me provide you with food, water, and whatever you wish to have. This man was shocked. I just came and I'm cursing this individual. And I thought he was an enemy and he was a terrible person. And he has created corruption in this world. And this is how he's treating me? And this is how he's responding to me? And so this man immediately, from this response from Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he changed his entire opinion on the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, on the truth and on the way in which we should act and be taught to us by the Ahlul Bayt. Now, today, we have similar misconceptions. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam is easily one of the most oppressed historical figures in Islam. Easily, without a shadow of doubt. A scholar, a great scholar, he says it in a very interesting way. He says Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he wasn't oppressed. Because if he was oppressed, we wouldn't know of him today. An oppressed individual doesn't have 12 nights of majalis every single year, minimum 12 nights of majalis all over the world, every single year, commemorating him on his death anniversary. An oppressed person doesn't have millions of people flocking towards his grave to go and visit him every single year. An oppressed person doesn't have 2 months of commemoration where people wear black to remember him. No, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he reached the highest of statuses in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and us, we respond to that and we show our love towards Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam through that. However, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he stood his ground. He did his role. He fulfilled his role as an imam, and yet some of us don't even know when his death is. When did he pass away? When was his martyrdom? Some of us might not even know the answer to that. The month that he passed away in, Safar, the next month, we commemorate Imam al-Hussein in that month, even though he wasn't martyred in that month. But because it's the 40th of his martyrdom, 40 days after his martyrdom, even the month of Safar, we commemorate Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Whereas Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam was martyred on the 7th of Safar. And do we even recognize that? Do we even remember this? And we remember from Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam was how he had signed a peace treaty with Muawiyah. And some of us consider this to be something that wasn't courageous, not standing up and fighting against Muawiyah the same way Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam fought. And that's all we remember from his legacy. Now today, let us spend a few moments to discuss the legacy of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, to answer the misconceptions behind this peace treaty with Muawiyah, and to understand this special character, this man who is, when he's confronted with harassment, he responds in kindness. Let us take from this story a moment to learn who this man really is. Who is Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam? We will talk about that after a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. I can't hear myself. So, many of our youth today, they have this question, why? Why did Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam not stand up and fight against Muawiyah the same way Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam stood up and fought against Yazid? Why? To answer this question, we must understand the context, the circumstances that Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam was in. So after the martyrdom of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, Imam al-Hassan became the rightful Khalifa, the rightful Imam after him. And so Imam al-Hassan, they began coming to pledge allegiance to him. The people of the time in Medina, they began coming towards Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, pledging their allegiance. You are our master, you are our Imam. You are our rightful Khalifa after Amir al-Mu'mineen. Now at the same time, Muawiyah, who was in Damascus, also was doing the same thing. He announced that he is the rightful caliph after Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he said, come and pledge your allegiance to me now. He demanded everyone comes and pledges their allegiance to Muawiyah. And so, when he heard that Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam was also getting allegiance from the Muslims. He feared that his power would be lost. He would lose his power. He feared to lose control over the Muslims. He wanted to ensure that he had complete power over all the Muslims. So he decided, we are going to war against Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. Muawiyah decided this. He announced that we will now go and attack Imam al-Hassan. We will take a stance and fight against Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. So what happened here? Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he prepared his troops. He was prepared to go into battle. He was prepared to fight against Muawiyah. So he gathered his troops. He prepared them for war. In Muawiyah, he gathered 70,000 people. Imagine, he gathered 70,000 people and he began marching towards Iraq, towards Kufa, where Imam al-Hassan was at the time. And Imam al-Hassan also began gathering his troops. However, when they actually approached Iraq and they were entering into Iraq, the people, the companions of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, began questioning Imam al-Hassan. The historians, they tell us, they split into 4 different groups. When they heard now push comes to shove, apparently according to the narrations, there were 20,000 of them. But when push comes to shove, what happens? They began splitting. And they split into 4 different groups. One group of these individuals, they had weak faith. And historians say they had no basira, according to the traditions. What does it mean to have basira? Basira is taken from the word basar. However, it's more. Basar is seeing, just eyesight, vision. Basira is the vision of the heart. Having true vision and awareness of the reality of certain situations. Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, he says, العامل على غير بصيرة كالسائر على غير الطريق فلا تزيده سرعة السير من الطريق إلا بعدا. He says the one who acts without insight, without foresight, without basira, and without this inner vision and compass is like the one who is walking without knowing his path. You're walking in a direction and you don't even know where you're walking towards. You don't know where your destination is going to take you. And the faster he goes, the further away from his destination it takes him. Listen to this amazing analogy. You have a destination, except you don't even know how to get there. What do? Do you just continue driving and you keep going faster and faster in hopes that you'll make it to where you're trying to go, even though you don't know the way? No. In reality, you have to stop. You have to calibrate your compass, see, put it in your phone, in your directions. Where is my destination? How do I get there? Which way do I go? So that if you are going the correct way and you continue going faster, it doesn't take you further away from your destination. So this is what it means to have basira, to have this inner vision, an inner insight into life. These individuals, these people who were so-called companions of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, they had weak faith. They had no basira. They didn't know the direction that the Imam was taking them into. So what did they say? They said, we don't want to fight. We're tired of fighting. We're tired of war. Imam Ali alayhi salam had just put us into battle after battle. In the last 5 years, they had 3 wars. They had 3 wars. Jamal, Siffin, and Nahrawan. With Imam Ali alayhi salam in a span of 5 years. And they were all terrible in the amount of losses that they had. These wars. They took so many of their men. So they were tired. They were fed up. They didn't want to fight. They didn't want war anymore. They had weak faith. This is one group. The second group, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, even though they seemed like they wanted to fight, and they said, yes, we'll fight for you, Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam knew that they had different reasons why they wanted to fight. And the reason why is because this specific group, all they wanted was the loot that she would gain from the war. The things, the money and the armor and the gain that you can get after a war, that's all they wanted. All they wanted was those specific materialistic things, those monetary things. So what happened? This is an example of the people that are like this. Happened in the battle of Uhud with the Holy Prophet ﷺ. The Holy Prophet, he told his companions, his so-called companions, go on top of the mountain of Uhud and do not let them flank us and don't come down from this mountain no matter what until I give you the permission to. Until I signal for you to come down, don't come down from that mountain. So when the battle began, and they fought and they stood and they were covered, their flank was covered, and they realized, the enemies realized that they cannot take on Rasulullah and Imam Ali and Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet, face to face in battle, they ran away. And they lost, many of their men died and they ran away, the enemies. What happened here? Those who were supposed to be watching on the mountain, they did not wait for Rasulullah's call. And they rushed down and they began looting. They began taking the armor, taking the swords, taking the money from those who were killed. They wanted to gain the monetary things that were from that battle, from that war. What did this cause? This caused the enemies in the battle of Uhud. They took advantage of this and they didn't leave, they went around, they flanked the mountain. They came from above the mountain and they began attacking once again. So the enemies that had ran away, they also came back. They also came back and they were now trapped. These individuals who were looting, they didn't listen to the Holy Prophet. The same people, they began running away. They began fleeing. They began escaping. They did not stand to defend Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now all that was left was Rasulullah and Amir al-Mu'mineen and Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet, being attacked, being flanked from all directions, until Hamza had fallen and he had died and he was martyred in that battle because of it. And the narrations say Rasulullah and Imam Ali were standing back to back. That was the only way they could fight off the enemies. They put each other on each other's backs and they were fighting, circulating around each other to make sure no one can flank them. That's how encompassed they were and trapped from all angles. Why? Just because those individuals, they wanted monetary gain from the war. So Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he had similar people in his companions, in his army. He knew that these people want to go to war only for this gain. They will not defend us. They will not defend Islam. They will run away the moment they realize that they're not going to win the battle and that they're going to die. They're going to run away. They don't want to die. That's the second group, in which it's the army of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam got split into, these 20,000 people. What else? Another group. They were easily deceived. The third group was easily deceived by Muawiyah. Muawiyah made it seem like he was a good person. He made it seem like he was a Muslim. He was a believer. In public, he was a believer. He would pray. He would pray jama'ah, salah jama'ah. He would pray, lead Friday salahs. So if people who would get deceived easily, they believed him. They said, it doesn't make sense to us for us to fight Muawiyah. He might actually be the rightful Khalif. He's a good person. Whether he's not the rightful Caliph or not, he's a good person. Doesn't make sense for us to fight him. It's not the way of Islam to fight against a Muslim, right? They fell for the tricks of Muawiyah. They were deceived. That was the third group in the army of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam that showed weakness, that made Imam al-Hassan realize this might not work for us to go into battle. And then the fourth group was the group that would betray Imam al-Hassan, and the group that wanted to fight Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. At any moments that they would get a chance, they would turn against Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. This was members of the army that were like that. At any chance that they would get, they would attack Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. They would fight against Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. A few stories of specific situations in which we saw this. Number one is with the cousin of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. The cousin of Imam al-Hassan was known as Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he assigned his cousin to be the leader of his army. When Muawiyah was approaching, he sent 8,000 troops under Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas to go and fight off Muawiyah. And he was the leader of that army. He was in charge of those troops. This man betrayed Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. He was bought out by Muawiyah. Now someone might ask, why did he put someone like this in this position? Why did he put his cousin? Well, number one, he's his cousin. He has blood relation with Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. So he'd expect him, out of his closeness and nearness to Imam al-Hassan, to never turn against him. Would you ever expect your cousin to turn against you, to betray you? That's number one. Number two, he used to have a leadership position before. He was experienced, he had experience. During the time of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam Ali put him as the leader of Yemen, the country, the entire nation. He was the leader over Yemen. He ran the affairs of the Muslims in Yemen under the Khilafat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. So he had some experience. That's number 2. Number 3, he had a personal vengeance that he wanted to get from Muawiyah. Why? Because when he was in Yemen, when he was the leader of Yemen, listen to this. An individual who had been attacked and he still got bought out by Muawiyah. This man, Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas, when he was in Yemen, for a trip, he had gone to Medina. And Muawiyah, he sent 30,000 troops to invade Yemen when Amir al-Mu'mineen was the leader of Yemen and when this man was in charge. So they entered into Yemen and they began asking, where's Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas? Where's the leader of your country, of your nation? They told him, he is away. He is not in town. He is in Medina right now. However, his family is here. They went towards the house of Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas and he had 2 children, 6 years old and 7-year-old boys, and he slaughtered them. He beheaded them. 2 children of Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas. Muawiyah beheaded them. So this man, he has a personal thing with Muawiyah. He killed his own children. It does not make sense for someone who had his children be killed by Muawiyah to be bought out. Imam al-Hassan would never expect that. He put him in this role, and yet when the night came, Muawiyah sent a letter to Ubaydullah ibn al-Abbas, and he told him, come, number 1, I will marry you to my daughter. Number 2, I will give you whatever you wish. I will give you 10,000 dirhams. Come join my army. When you come back, when I see you, when I welcome you, I will give you even more. I will add to that another 10,000 dirhams. This man took just a few pieces of gold, just some money, and he was bought out. In the night, he took his entire army, those 8,000 troops that were supposed to stand and fight against Muawiyah, he went and took them and they became on the side of Muawiyah. Just like that, just with some money. He bought out the leader of Imam al-Hassan's army, who was also his cousin. Look at the position Imam al-Hassan is in. He doesn't have even one loyal companion that he can trust. The most loyal person who he thought would be the most loyal person betrayed him, turned against him. Now after this, Muawiyah, he was clever. He realized that they're small in number, but he still didn't want to fight because he's afraid. He knows Imam al-Hassan, even with the few that he has, he will still probably defeat Muawiyah. And so he did want to. Imam al-Hassan was prepared. Even after this, he was prepared to go into fight and prepared to go and battle against Muawiyah. However, Muawiyah, he made a trick. He sent rumors around the people of Imam al-Hassan's army, telling them all that Imam al-Hassan wants to sign a peace treaty with me. And he wants to sign a treaty. He doesn't want to fight. So this rumor spread around in the army of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. They began turning against Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. The few that were left in number, even them, they began fighting against Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. And they would enter upon Imam al-Hassan and they would tell him, Assalamu alayka ya mudhill al-mu'mineen. They'd call him mudhill al-mu'mineen, the one who humiliated the believers. Look at the disrespect they showed to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam because of a rumor they heard from Muawiyah. He said he was in such a difficult position. Eventually, a time came where it was so bad where his life was in danger by his own companions. One night, he was heading towards the salah, towards the nightly prayers. In the middle of the night, they came and ambushed Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam and they stabbed him in his leg. They stabbed Imam al-Hassan, his own companions. They ambushed him and they stabbed him in his leg. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam had to leave the house wearing armor out of fear for his life because he didn't know who's real and who's fake. He didn't know who's on his side and who's against him. This is the position Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam was in. He had no one to fight and to defend. And even the few that were there, if he fought against Muawiyah, they would have turned against him. They would have lost. And then even if they had lost and shed blood, Muawiyah was someone who seemed to be Muslim. So Islam would have truly got destroyed and ended right then and there. And that's another reason why he didn't stand up and fight. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when he fought against Yazid, he had to fight against him. Why? Because Yazid didn't have Islam. He was a public sinner. He didn't even pray. He drank in public. He would hold parties in public. He was known to be a public sinner. He was known to be a criminal. This is Yazid. Yazid was like that. Muawiyah wasn't like that. Muawiyah, it seemed like he was a good person. It seemed like he was someone who would pray, someone who would uphold Islam as it is. And so if he had fought in those circumstances, everyone would have turned against him. Everyone would have turned away from Islam and Islam would have been lost. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And so he decided he had, because of these circumstances that he was in, the few loyal companions that he had, his life was in danger. He didn't know who was on the truth and who was on falsehood, who was with him, who was against him. And he knew if he fought against Muawiyah, they would have turned against him. They would have lost. Islam would have been destroyed. He decided he has to sign this peace treaty with Muawiyah. It's the only way to save Islam and to prepare the way for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, to pave the grounds for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. So Imam al-Hassan, he signed this peace treaty, but before he signed it, he made sure Muawiyah agrees to 4 conditions. 4 conditions were put into this contract. Pay attention to this. The first condition was what? That Muawiyah would act according to the Quran and to the Sunnah of the Holy Prophet. That's number 1. Imam al-Hassan said, you want me to sign this peace treaty and not fight you? You must act according to the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a leader. That's number 1. Number 2, he would stop the cursing of Imam Ali alayhi salam on Friday sermons. For 60 years after the holy Imam passed away, they would curse him on every Jum'ah salah, every Friday prayer. They would stand on the minbar, on the pulpits, and they would curse Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imagine this wicked, cruel tyrant. He said, you must stop this. He signed. Okay. Number 3, everyone would be safe from your torture. You can no longer torture people. It was easy for Muawiyah to torture people. Whoever he wished, he would torture them. He said, you cannot torture people. You cannot prevent people from receiving aid, food and water. You have to give them their necessities that they need in life to live. Especially those who follow Imam Ali alayhi salam. Especially my companions and the Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam. You have to take care of them. You have to ensure that they are well taken care of and you do not prevent them from the basic necessities of life. Number 3. And then number 4, after he dies, after Muawiyah's death, he must return this khilafah and announce that he returns this khilafah to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam or to Imam al-Hussein if Imam al-Hassan is not alive. And he signed on all of these. Muawiyah agreed to these. It was under Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam's terms to sign a contract. Sometimes we don't think about this. We think, oh, he just signed it to stop a fight and it's as if he pledged allegiance. No, the contract was under Imam al-Hassan's terms. And Muawiyah signed upon those terms. And of course, Muawiyah, being the wicked man he is, right after he signed on these terms, he denounced them, all of them. He went on the minbar, he went on the pulpits the next day, and he began cursing Imam Ali alayhi salam again. And he said, this contract that I signed is beneath my feet. It means nothing to me. In front of everybody. He began cursing Imam Ali alayhi salam. Imam al-Hassan was in the attendance. He was in the audience. When he heard this, he stood up. He stood up And he responded to Muawiyah in front of everyone. Imagine Muawiyah is on the pulpit. Some member from the crowd gets up, which is Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and he begins responding to Muawiyah. He tells him, "O Muawiyah, you who curses Ali ibn Abi Talib, who are you? And who am I? I am Hassan. My father is Imam Ali alayhi salam. You are Muawiyah, your father is Abu Sufyan. Your father is the one who fought Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa who sent troops against Rasulullah in Uhud. In his second battle, he was the one to fight him. To fight Islam. Abu Sufyan fought against Islam. That's who your father is. My mother is Fatima al-Zahra. Your mother is Hind. Your mother is the one who ate the flesh of Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet, Sayyid al-Shuhada. That's who your mother is. And my mother is Fatima. My grandfather is Rasulullah. Your grandfather is Harb." And he continues to name his lineage. And then he says out loud, فَلَعَنَ اللَّهُ أَخْمَلَنَا ذِكْرًا وَأَلْأَمَنَا حَسَبًا وَشَرَّنَا قَدَمًا وَأَقْدَمَنَا كُفْرًا وَنِفَاقًا. He says, because of this, after announcing who they are, he says, "May Allah curse the one amongst us too who is the worst reputation, who has the lowest in lineage, who is the worst in conduct and the earliest in disobedience and disbelief and hypocrisy." Everyone in the crowd, they heard this and they recited Ameen. Ameen. They all supported Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. They realized what he's saying. He's saying, I come from the lineage of Imam Ali alayhi salam and Rasulullah. I am on the truth, and look at you. You fought against Islam. You were an enemy of Islam, and now you want to act like you're the leader of Islam? So this, after the treaty, even though Muawiyah broke it, it paved the way for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, because people realized how truly of a hypocrite Muawiyah was. They saw that, no, he signed this treaty, and we thought he's a good person. We thought he's going to defend Islam, and he's going to create the nation of Islam and make it flourish. But in reality, he was lying. He wanted what was for his own benefit. He didn't follow the terms that he signed on. And so, as time passed, people realized how much of a hypocrite Muawiyah was. And Imam Hassan gained popularity, and because of this, Muawiyah decided he needs to end Imam al-Hassan. Even though Imam al-Hassan was quiet now, they had signed a peace treaty, he wasn't revolting, he knew that he needed to end Imam al-Hassan. Because now he was gaining power. People were realizing how much of a hypocrite Muawiyah was. Until he ordered to poison Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam when he was poisoned by his own wife. His own wife also was bought out by Muawiyah and paid money and promised to marry Muawiyah's son, Yazid. And she lost all of that. She lost this world and the next life. Even the wife of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam betrayed him. This is how oppressed this man was. This is how oppressed this Imam was, and we don't even remember him. We don't consider him. We don't think about him. All we think about is how he gave in and he didn't fight in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's so much more to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam's legacy. Imam taught us generosity. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam gave his wealth, his entire wealth, twice in his life. When he was come and asked to provide someone with money, he gave him his entire wealth twice. And multiple times, he gave half of his wealth. And then one day, a woman, a maid, who belonged to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, she came and gave a gift to Imam al-Hassan. She gave him flowers. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, he let her free. That's his response, out of generosity. When he was asked why, he recited this verse that I recited in the beginning. وَإِذَا حُيِّيتُم بِتَحِيَّةٍ فَحَيُّوا بِأَحْسَنِ مِنْهَا أَوْ رُدُّوهَا. If you are greeted with a greeting, give what's better. Or at least give back what they gave you. If an individual says Salamu Alaikum, that's why it's wajib upon us to respond our salam, because of this verse. The least we can do is respond with what they gave us, with what they greeted us with. And we should do more. We should learn from Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam to do even more. Now Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, if he didn't possess qualities of courage and honor and dignity, how did he end up passing those qualities down to his son? How did his son Al-Qasim, the 13-year-old child, have such qualities within him? How? Isn't it that his father taught him these qualities? Isn't it that his father implanted these qualities within him? Al-Qasim ibn al-Hassan, he gave his life for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam as only a 13-year-old child, like some of us in this audience here today. And truly, it makes me proud to see young individuals like this, sitting and remembering Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, commemorating Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, crying for the tragedy of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. You also have a mentor. You also have a leader, a role model to learn from. You have Al-Qasim to look up to. He was only 13 years old. And what was his story? He came to Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. He came to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam when Imam al-Hussein and the companions and his family had all fallen. He goes to Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. And he tells him, "Oh my master, can I go into battle? Do you give me permission to go and fight in your way?" Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he looks at Al-Qasim and he embraces him and he hugs him. The narrations say he hugs him, they begin crying, and he falls unconscious. Imam al-Hussein falls unconscious in this farewell with his dear nephew Al-Qasim. The narrations tell us this is the only time Imam al-Hussein bid farewell like this. It's as if he was bidding farewell to his brother Imam al-Hassan one more time, and saying goodbye to his brother Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, because Al-Qasim resembled Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam so much in the way he looked, in the way he carried himself, in his courage, in his honor, in the way he spoke. So Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, when he gains consciousness, he looks to Al-Qasim, he tells him, "Oh my dear nephew, what is death to you? What do you consider death to be?" Imam Al-Qasim looks at him and he tells him, "Ya Amma, Wallahi al-mawt bayna yadayk indi ahla min al-asal." He says, "Oh my dear uncle, death in your way to me is sweeter than honey." He's prepared to go in to die. Look at this young 13-year-old man, this young individual, the son of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam, prepared to give his life for his uncle Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he goes, he tells him, "Come with me, my dear nephew." He takes him towards the tent, he pulls out a chest, and from it he takes out the imamah and the garment and the armor and the sword of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. He wraps Al-Qasim with this armor and he tells him, Go my dear nephew, go and fight, go and make your father proud of you." Imam Al-Qasim, he enters into the battlefield, he climbs on his horse and he enters into the battlefield. He begins crying, "In tunkiruni fa'ana najdu al-Hasan, صبط النبي المجتبى والمؤتمن هذا حسين كالأسير المرتهن بين أناس لا سقوا صوب المزن بين أناس لا سقوا صوب المزن." He tells them, "I am Qasim, the son of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. I am here to defend my uncle Hussein, and I will defend him at every moment." At this moment, my dear brothers and sisters, Al-Qasim is fighting fearlessly. He is killing the enemies of Allah. One by one, he is fighting them away. And nobody can approach him. Nobody can take him on one. At this moment, Al-Qasim's sandal, the lace rips off. Al-Qasim, he had so much courage that he went down to fix his sandal. He didn't even realize what was going on in the battlefield. He was having fun with it. He didn't realize that they were going to kill him if he turned his head. He turned down to fix his sandal. At this moment, Ajarakumullah ya mu'mineen, a cursed man, he says, "I am prepared to strike this child and make his father grieve over him and make his uncle grieve over him." He attacks Al-Qasim and he strikes him on his head. أين المنادي وقاسما وشهيدا ومظلوما Al-Qasim falls to the ground. He calls out, Nada Amma al-Hussein. He calls out, oh my uncle Hussein, come to my aid. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, he comes and rushes towards the aid of Al-Qasim. He takes revenge from the one who killed him. And then he sees him, فَرَآهُ يَفْحَصُ بِيَدِهِ وَرِجْلَيْهِ. He sees him kicking with his hands and his legs. He is in his final moments. He is about to die. Imam al-Hussein looks at him. يَعِزُّ اللَّهَ عَلَىٰ عَمِّكَ أَن تَدْعُوهُ فَلَا يُجِيبُكَ أو يجيبك فلا يعينك أو يعينك فلا يغني عنك. It hurts your uncle that you call for him and he cannot aid you, he cannot help you, he cannot support you. Al-Qasim passes away. Imam al-Hussein carries him back towards the tent and puts him beside Ali al-Akbar. Now let me take you towards one more son of Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam. Imam al-Hassan gave more than just Al-Qasim in the way of Imam al-Hussein. He also gave his 9-year-old son Abdullah on the day of Ashura, when Imam al-Hussein took a moment to rest and he was being attacked by swords and spears and arrows. Abdullah, the 9-year-old son of Imam al-Hassan, he escaped the grasp of his aunt Zainab and he rushed towards Imam al-Hussein. A wicked individual was about to strike Imam al-Hussein. He put his hand in front of him. He said, تَقْتُلُ عَمِّي, are you going to kill my uncle? This wicked individual struck the 9-year-old's hand and severed his arm. The arm of this little child fell. This little child turns to his uncle. He says, oh Amma, look what they did to me. They severed my arm. Imam al-Hussein embraces him. He holds on to this child. At this moment, the wicked Harmala, he takes an arrow and strikes this child in the embrace of his uncle Hussein. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. نسألك اللهم وندعوك باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم. يا الله 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 يا الله. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج واجعلنا من أنصاره وعوانه والمستشهدين بين يديه وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات ومن مات على الهدى والإيمان ولتعجيل فرج مولانا صاحب العصر والزمان وقضاء الحاجات وشفاء المرضى. نقرأ سورة الفاتحة مع الصلوات.